Okay, almost environmental pollution issues we have completed almost. And today, let us take the greenhouse effect. Emma, recorder. Yesterday's class did not recorded because uh, Zoom yesterday failed. That's why today I will record it. Okay, na? Uh, greenhouse. Okay, greenhouse effect. What is greenhouse? A glass house that is prepared for the growing of plants during winter is called greenhouse. So greenhouse effect, why it is so called, what is greenhouse? Definition: a glass house, it is nothing but glass house. Why it is made up of glass? To enter the sunlight, so as to provide sunlight. That is why it is made up of glass. So when the sunlight enters into the entry of sunlight is allowed, but exit of heat is not allowed by the glass house. So emission of heat is not there. Hence it is static in the glass house. So which increases the heat, more temperature. That is called greenhouse effect. So in the glass house, what are the two things happen? One, allows entry of light. Glass house allows light, and glass house disallows heat from the house. Disallows heat not from outside, from glass house. From glass house. So that's why it causes more warming and more heating up of the total glass house. That effect is called greenhouse effect. For example, you keep your car in a parking. You park your car in a sun, especially mid noon sunlight. And after 1 or 2 hours, you go. See how that all the doors of the cars closed. So after some time, you go there, and definitely more heat is there in the car. Best example, simple. But to allow the growing of green plants, glass house allow also allows the growing of green plants during winter, because in the winter sunlight is not that much intensive. Hence allows the growing of plants. Satvika, you are there? Hello? Yes, we are, I think, in West Bengal. There only from there only you are attending, huh? Very good, very good. Allows the growing of plants in winter. Specifically, this is specified. You see that first paragraph of greenhouse effect. This is clearly specified. Growing of plants in winter in the glass house. That is the purpose of glass house. All flowering plants can be reared and cultivated in that greenhouse. So, you take for example earth. Earth without greenhouse effect. This is very important point. Numerical. Yesterday so many numerical statements I have given yesterday. Today also, earth without greenhouse effect. Without greenhouse effect has minus 18 degrees centigrade temperature. Means very chilled atmosphere. minus 18 degrees centigrade, imagine. Earth with greenhouse effect, how much? Plus, that is without greenhouse effect. With greenhouse effect, 15 degrees centigrade, not minus. With 15 degrees centigrade temperature, you record these two. 18 degrees centigrade without greenhouse effect. If there is a greenhouse effect, definitely our earth surface will be increase in temperature. So like that, minus 18 degrees centigrade, good afternoon. Minus 18 degrees centigrade without greenhouse effect, and plus 15 degrees centigrade with the greenhouse effect. Already previously also I told you, remember this point very carefully. Okay. Now, greenhouse effect, how it occurs, let us see step by step. The solar radiation you have to take into consideration first of all is absorbed by clouds and gases. Is absorbed by clouds and gases. That means what happened? Entire solar radiation does not reach the earth surface. That is happened because some amount of solar radiation is absorbed by clouds, gases, moisture. Moisture also absorbs this light. So only some remaining amount of light only reaches the earth. So some solar radiation only reaches earth surface. So these points for intermediate examination, greenhouse effect is also there for 4 marks question, but luckily you are saved. Environmental issues from ecology deleted. That's why some solar radiation only reaches the earth. Only reaches the earth, heating it. Same wording. You see that the next page. Heating it means earth. Heating the earth, some of the solar radiation only reaches. So from this heated earth, what? Infrared radiation is emitted. Infrared radiation emitted from the earth. These steps you must be carefully remember these steps. Infrared radiation emitted from the earth, which is absorbed what are they? Greenhouse gases, which is absorbed by greenhouse gases. Okay, what are the greenhouse gases? Don't forget CO2 and CH4. These are the two greenhouse gases. So now these are very prevalent on the surface of the earth. Greenhouse gases, what are? Neat point of view, very important, that's why. What are greenhouse gases? CO2 and CH4. They absorb the radiation emitted from earth because they have to reach the atmosphere. After emission from the earth, it should directly reach the atmosphere. So, but meanwhile what happened? These gases are there in the atmosphere, they absorb and reflect back that infrared radiation again to the earth. So these greenhouse gases like CO2, CH4, carbon dioxide and methane, after absorption emit the infrared radiation. In the in the sense emit means reflects back to the earth, emit that radiation towards the earth, heating earth second time, heating the earth second time. See this point. Second time the earth is heated up. So thus 2 times the earth is heating up. That causes the global warming. So the above reason consequence is causes the global warming. See that in the last century itself, the temperature increases to 0.6 degrees centigrade. In the last century, that too recent 3 decades. In the last century, during recent 3 decades, this is always very important question. Here numerical status, as just like yesterday, today also we are getting 18 degrees centigrade, minus 18 to 15 degrees centigrade, and like that. Here also in the last century, during the recent 3 decades, that means last 30 years, the temperature on earth increases by 0.6 degrees centigrade. You please underline, increases by 0.6 degrees centigrade. It is clearly given. Have you observed those lines?
Yes, sir.
Minus 18 degrees centigrade without greenhouse effect, plus 15 degrees centigrade with greenhouse effect, and due to global warming, due to the greenhouse gases like CO2 and CH4, the temperature on the earth's surface is increasing. That causes the global warming. In the last century, especially the recent 3 decades, the temperature on earth increases by 0.6 degrees centigrade. This causes consequences, you see, one by one. If there are no CO2 and CH4, when the solar radiation directly reaches the earth's surface, heating the earth, the infrared radiation, emission of infrared radiation from earth directly go to the atmosphere. If these are absent, CO2 and CH4, as they are there, they absorb meanwhile and reflect back that radiation to the earth's surface, and second time earth is heating up. That is a problem that causes the global warming. So due to global warming, already the temperature last 3 decades itself 0.6 degrees centigrade rises up. Now the global warming causes, or CO2 CH4 causes, you say like that also, causes the unusual climatic changes, unseasonal, unusual, abnormal climatic changes called El Nino effect in Pacific Mahasamudra ocean. That is called El Nino effect. Due to El Nino effect, unseasonal rains, floods, havocs, tsunamis, everything resulted. That is the drawback of global warming. So how to control this global warming? El Nino effect, it turned the page. 0.6 degrees centigrade, bottom last sentence. Now return the page. Then El Nino effect is given. And after that, what is given, how to control global warming. Control of global warming. These are important for statement type questions. Control of global warming. First control is, what is that first control, the proper use of energy, proper use of energy consumption, and avoiding fossil fuels. You must avoid fossil fuels and discourage deforestation. Deforestation should be discouraged. This is so control of global warming, like that you have to take the steps, and plantation programs must be intensified. Plantation programs must be intensified. And lastly, the reduction of the human growth population, reduction of human population in size. Enhanced growth of population should be stopped. So that, like that, we can control the global warming, so that CO2 emission of CO2, CH4 gradually reduced, and infrared radiation never again reflect back to the earth, go to the atmosphere, and thus cooling of earth occurs. So due to this global warming, melting of polar ice caps occur. When there is a melting of polar ice caps, what happens? All low-lying land will be submerged. So so many islands now, they are going to be vacated, especially shore areas. Totally, in short periods, they will be vanished, disappeared. So this is about the greenhouse effect. Now let us take for greenhouse effect, most important control, of course not given in the NCERT book, given in the academic book. Kyoto Protocol in Japan actually conducted and took decision to minimize the emission of the global warming gases or greenhouse gases like CO2 and CH4. That is. And now, ozone depleting substances. Ozone depletion is also a very, very important one. Ozone depleting substances, let us take one by one. Generally, on the earth's surface, bad ozone is formed. Bad ozone formation takes place in the bottom layer of atmosphere, that is called troposphere. Bad ozone, it causes harm to the animals as well as humans also. But there is a good ozone in the stratosphere. This helps a lot to the mankind. This occurs in the stratosphere. Of course, troposphere, stratosphere, not mentioned in the NCERT book, but we are touching those things. So, bad ozone, troposphere, and good ozone, stratosphere. Good ozone, why it is so called? The good ozone filters ultraviolet rays. Filters UV rays, concentrated UV rays are filtered. That is the advantage, because UV rays are more harmful and causing skin cancers and other cancers also occur. That's why good ozone helps in that way. So this ozone production and degradation both are simultaneously occurs. Production and degradation, very, very important terminology. Fourth point puts number of star marks. Production and degradation of ozone. Ozone's formula O3 kada, directly I mentioned like that. Production and degradation of ozone is balanced always in the nature. It is balanced. When this balance is disturbed, let us see. So production occurs from molecular oxygen. Production always occurs from, production means conversion of O2 into O3. That involves. Degradation involves what? Conversion of O3 into molecular oxygen. So these two steps, remember. Production means that one and degradation means this one. So formation of ozone is a production from O2, molecular oxygen. And degradation of ozone means conversion of ozone into molecular oxygen. So this is actually frequently done in the Antarctica, Atlantic area, that where they very dangerous whole Antarctica whole also formed in the atmosphere, stratosphere. So degradation. For this degradation generally occurs here. There are the substances which are released into the atmosphere called CFCs, chlorofluorocarbons. Chlorofluorocarbons release chlorine in the presence of ultraviolet rays. Chlorofluorocarbons generally used in freezing technology, refrigerators, ACs, in all these air conditioners, the CFCs are used for cooling effect. So those refrigerants are released into the atmosphere. With the UV rays, separate the chlorine from CFCs. Now this chlorine acts as catalyst. This chlorine acts as catalyst. So what chlorine, this catalyst chlorine, what does it do? It changes the O3 into O2. Here chlorine ions. O3 into O2 continuously going on changing like that. Then what happens to a good ozone in the stratosphere? Gradually it disappears. In place, O2 is replaced. Molecular oxygen is replaced. That is nothing but ozone hole. That is nothing but ozone hole. Ozone. See right side page diagram is given. Just you go through that diagram. That is Antarctica. Ozone hole is there. So that is it. So chlorine never subjected to reaction. It accelerates the rate of reaction. Catalyst property is that one. Property of catalyst. It increases the rate of reaction, but it never is subjected to react. So that's why chlorine ions are continuously staying there in the atmosphere and changing the O3 into O2. So due to this drawback, this nowadays we are facing this problem, and directly ultraviolet rays reach the Earth surface. So this thickness of ozone measurement is actually done by Dobson units. Dobson's units. The measurement of ozone measurement is Dobson's units. Remember, 10th point also very important point regarding ozone depleting substances. Dobson's units. So this thickness is gradually reduced in the some areas, especially in Pacific ocean areas mainly. We can see this. More ultraviolet rays are, even Australia also. More ultraviolet rays are there. Ultraviolet rays directly reach the earth there. Because of ozone umbrella is totally damaged, converted into O3 into molecular oxygen O2. So the wavelengths less than the UVB rays, when they reach the earth surface, they are absorbed by DNA and proteins. Our DNA proteins directly can absorb especially these ultraviolet B rays, UVB rays. So these UVB rays affect the skin cells. Consequences of UVB rays: skin cells are damaged, skin cancer occurs, And inflammation of cornea also occurs. Cornea inflammation occurs. Cornea inflammation causes the cataract. Cataract, in the sense, it is also called snow blindness. That disease is called snow blindness. So totally just like white flower it looks like in the eyeball. So that cataract symptoms, snow blindness. Thus, the UVB rays affect this because they are directly absorbed by DNA and proteins in our body. So that is the problem. So these symptoms you must remember. Okay, to prevent the ozone depleting substances, CFCs, there is a Montreal Protocol conducted in 1987, I think, Canada. 89 it is intensified, or 90 countries signed to minimize the emission of the chlorofluorocarbons. They are nothing but ozone depleting substances. CFCs are nothing but ODS. ODS stands for ozone depleting substances. That is in the Montreal Protocol. That decision has been taken up. See, every heading has its unique importance. Chalking out the most important bits are there. Dobson units, most important measurement of the ozone. And seawage measurement unit is seawage water pollution. Domestic sewage is measured by BOD. BOD is the correct measure of domestic sewage. So like that here also Dobson units, thickness of O3, ozone. Gradually it is thinning. Thinning means O3 becomes O2. So thinning of ozone occurs. Thus Montreal Protocol here, Canada, and Kyoto Protocol for greenhouse gases. Already we have mentioned here in Japan. Okay. Now the next page let us go. Degradation of sources by improper utility. Hello? Ask. Satvi.
Is the Montreal Protocol only in Canada, sir?
Ah,
Is the Montreal Protocol only in Canada, sir, or is it there in many of the countries?
for the entire world, not only for Canada, that is actually world protocol. Conducted at Canada, Montreal place.
So you can say it started at Canada.
It's a part. Actually, 190 countries participated also. Okay. Then how it is meant for only Canada? Not Canada, entire world. These measures are always for entire world. Okay. Okay, ma.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So degradation of sources by improper utilization of natural resources and irrigation facilities. So the consequences are, what are they? Let us see. Number one, soil erosion and desertification. Already we have discussed it. Anyhow, we are recollecting, that's all. Soil erosion and desertification. This heading you justify this definition of soil erosion and desertification. What are the reasons, our human activity? Our cultivation. You are not giving at least rest to development of fertility by soil. It takes centuries, topsoil fertility takes hundreds of years. But we are very easily damaging the topsoil fertility. Crop by crop, crop over the crop, crop over the crop, like that our cultivation. So fertility of soil gradually is lost. So that's why our cultivation, our grazing by cattle, all these human activities causes the soil erosion, and finally that land can become a barren land. I mean, like a desert. It will be changed to a desert-like areas. So that's why going to be uncultivated. We cannot cultivate the agriculture. That these are the main reasons. That is soil erosion and desertification. And then we take the next one, water logging and soil salinity. Water logging, you know the meaning, means still waters are standing still in a particular area. That is water logging. And soil salinity, due to this problem, second problem arises. Due to water logging, the second problem arises due to improper drainage facilities. For the above one, what is the reason we have already given? Over cultivation, over grazing, and all this, over harvesting, and all. But here the reason is improper drainage facilities. If there are no proper drainage facilities, the water will be standing there in a particular area, and gradually it is getting down into the soil and bringing up the salts from the soil upper surface. And then all these salts are deposited at the roots of the crop yielding plants. Whenever the roots are occupied by and form like a crust they are formed around the roots. And for roots, ventilation, aeration, everything is stopped. So that crop yielding is photosynthetic activity, crop yielding, everything will be greatly reduced. So that is the resultant consequences of water logging, and water logging leads to soil salinity leads to the decreased production of crop yielding products. So that is second one. And third one is deforestation. See, deforestation, again numerical status, again we can discuss here as far as deforestation is concerned. You see, first of all, when compared with temperate countries, in tropics, the forest coverage, how much, forest damage, 40% forest damaged in tropics. 40% forest damaged in tropics. When it is compared with in temperate countries, cold countries, in temperate regions, only just 1% damaged. See, gulf of difference. 40% damage of forest in the tropics. Is it comparable to that least percentage? Negligible. 1% means negligible. We need not worry about that 1%. Even for that also they are worrying like anything. But we are not that much bothering. We are least bothered about the damage of the forest to that extent. 40% of the forest damage in the tropics means, especially in the Amazon tropical rainforest. Because soybean cultivation, already I told you, habitat loss, fragmentation at that time. The evil quartet when we discuss there, already I have mentioned, do you remember? Huh? Hello? Yeah. See, for that purpose only forest is totally damaged. Just beginning of 20th century you take, just turn the page. Beginning of 20th century, forest coverage how much in our India? This is our country especially, 30%. 30% forest coverage is there in the beginning of 20th century. By the end of 20th century, you see, just notice, by the end of 20th century, already we entered into the 21st century. It is going on. So by the end of 20th century, the forest coverage reduced to 19.4%. You see this? This difference is just numerical. Compare like this. Tropics to temperate to one set. Beginning of 20th century and ending of 20th century. In our country, 30% loss is there. Forest loss. 30% coverage is there. Now more than 50% loss is there. 19.4% forests are only present now. See that. That is why our government, Indian government, launched NFP, National Forest Policy in 1988. Launched this forest policy. According to this, 33% forest coverage should be there on plain areas, on plains, and 67% forest coverage on hill areas, on hills, mountain areas. This is actually proposed and already implemented also. We are implementing also. 33% on plains forest coverage should be enhanced and 67% on hills should be there. See? So the last three topics are very important. Greenhouse effect, ozone depleting substances, deforestation. Then what are the consequences of deforestation? These are all statement type questions. So control of global warming already I have given just now. And here also consequences of deforestation. We have to face those problems. Ultimately we are the sufferers. We are the sufferers and we are responsible for this also. And we are simultaneously sufferers also. So consequences of deforestation if you take, first of all what happens? Enhancement of CO2. Carbon dioxide percentage increases. Carbon dioxide definitely one of the global warming gases, greenhouse gases. If it is percentage increases, what happens? So that's why enhancement of CO2, loss of biodiversity. Please carefully remember these points. Loss of biodiversity and soil erosion, disturbed hydrological cycle, water cycle. Disturbed water cycle or hydrological cycle. So NCERT word is hydrological cycle. True translation, water cycle. So they are all there. These consequences ultimately productivity also will be reduced. These are the consequences we have to face. And for this another reason is there. Slash burnt agriculture, or this is also called zoom cultivation. So they cut the forest and burnt for the fertility of the soil and go for agriculture. Then afterwards they extend their cultivable land to the other parts of the forest, because the previous cut area to develop the fertility takes time. So again they cut the trees and burnt the plants and fertility will be improved and again new crop is there. Like that going on, cutting forest, total forest is going to be damaged. So deforestation consequences are there. This is very worst practice. Rajasthan, case study is there, Jodhpur. Ras, worst fellow. We can scold him like anything, anybody. Hmm? She should not do like that. Going to the forest and cutting the trees. And who sacrificed their lives? One tribal caste is there, Bishnoi. Bishnoi tribes. Amrita Devi Bishnoi, National Wildlife Award, created by our Indian government in memory of that Amrita Devi Bishnoi. First, she hugged the tree when the Jodhpur men come, king's men come and cut the trees. No, I don't allow, she said, and hugged the tree. Even then, they cut off her neck also, along with tree. Her three daughters also followed the lines of mother. Same thing happened. And rest of the Bishnoi 100, more than 100 Bishnoi people also there. They are being cut. Their necks are being cut. See, that sacrifice, can you fix a price tag? We are not doing like that. We don't go for that such a sacrifice. That's why along with at that time only Chipko movement came into existence. Chipko movement 1974. Garhwals of Himalayas 1974. Garhwals, these are also tribes of Himalayas, launched this. And along with Joint Forest Management, JFM 1980. In 81 it is intensified. 1981, JFM, Joint Forest Management. Along with social people, they are going to enhance the forest area. In return gifts also they are getting fibers, timber, what, all products of forest products they are able to get for this. So, Joint Forest Management 1980, National Forest Policy 1988 and Chipko movement 1974. Don't forget to remember. Okay? Okay, syllabus is completed. I don't know, paper is also ready. Environmental issues, when it is going to be conducted. And tomorrow what we have to start? If you say, I can follow that. Because majority covered. You four choose and put me message or tell me. Prabhu?
Yes, sir.
Next what?
Sir, we go based on NCRT, sir, or on academic books, sir?
Only NCRT, or if you want IP preparation, we can do that also. Already NCRT maximum completed we have. This is the last topic. Previous topics we have already conducted exam kada NCRT.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Then that's why what we do. If you want any revisions, I do revision, or otherwise. You decide.
So once we want those type studies, sir, like at government fraud.
Ah,
Yes, sir. Once I have to revise the topics.
okay. So for all of you, you want
Yes, sir.
okay, then it is okay. Right, I can stop sharing, okay?
Thank you,
If,
sir.
if,
Thank you, sir.
if any change there, you just message me.
Yes.